Carson's obviously going back to his home state. How different is he now than he was 2 years ago? I know significantly different, but just how much has he solidified the line? How is he, just kind of speak to his improvement?
Yeah, well, a great. When Luke Whippler went to the NFL that year, he got thrust into a role maybe a year earlier than we would have expected, and that isn't always easy. But going through that and learning from that has made him, stronger and more experienced and more ready now. And I even think, more ready to make the run we made last year at the end of the year because he had gone through that. I think it was also great for him to spend a little time with Seth McLaughlin that year. And because when you have somebody older who kind of shows you the way, especially at center, it's good. And when Luke left that year to go to the NFL, it was sort of that year void for him that most people probably don't even recognize. But because of all of those things, he's become an excellent football player. And his communication, he's playing with great confidence. He keeps everybody together up front. And I thought he's held some of the environments and played in well so far. This season. And we're going to need him here. But I know he's excited to go back to his home state and play well.
Even with the success the team's having this year, you always talk about there's room for improvement and room to grow at the halfway point of the season. Where would you specifically like to see improvement?
You know what I'm going to say, everywhere. But I think for us, in a day and age when it's all about what's new, what's flashy, what's exciting, what's the new thing, it's the mundane daily tasks that we have to embrace on a daily basis. The same things over and over again. So playing with great effort. I know that doesn't sound exciting. You heard me say that before, but we can't just try to find the flashiest way to say it. We have to embrace those things. And when you come in the building on a Tuesday, getting back to work and starting from scratch again, and getting back to your individual drills and your technique. And Carson's a good example of the more he played, the better he's got, because he's putting these days in and he's working to get better, and he's getting on the film, and he's taking the corrections, and he's putting it on the film. Putting it on the field. So I just think that's what it is. It's this, combined effort for everybody in the building to get better. Because the way we played last week isn't going to be good enough this week, and that's just how it works on a week-to-week basis. So, that being said, there are certainly areas that we want to see addressed sooner than others. But I won't get into all those right now. It's just everybody understanding that we have to embrace that part of it every day and not getting bored with what works. And I know that sounds simple, but it's important, and that was a big part of the message today before practice.
Over here, Bill Landis.
You mentioned after the end of the game, you were talking about the rushing attack. Some sectors are only be getting what's blocked for. You look at the run game holistically, how much is that happening? How do you improve upon that specifically?
Well, I think the focus needs to be is, one, how are the runs fitting up, and then two, what are the yards after contact, or once you engage somebody, making somebody miss, and that's been an emphasis point here for a few weeks now. I thought we did a nice job in the Minnesota game, just okay last week, but then again, it was a lot of whether it was short yardage or down in the red zone, there was some heavier runs in there, just a lot of bodies, so a little bit played into where we were on the field. But that's it, focusing on those things at practice, working on running through contact, working on open field tackling, close quarters, running. Those are the things that we're going to continue to focus on to try to improve that area. And I think the more these guys play, Bo and specifically James, because I think CJ has a feel for running behind his pads, but he can still be better in these areas as well, breaking tackles. But the more they see it and the more we show it to them on film, again, this is kind of what we're talking about. These are areas we all can get better at.
Ryan, how close are Milan or Quincy from expanding your options at wide receiver?
Yeah, they're there. They're right there, right on the doorstep. And we need them. Carnell and and Jeremiah and Brandon need those guys to step up in a big way. And so Quincy's really shown up on special teams, which is a great sign. He's done a really good job on punt return for us. I think this is something that we can build on there, and that's a great sign. Milan has been practicing better, so we'd like to get them in the game when we can, because we know we're going to need this depth as the season goes on.
Front row, Mike Waxman.
Ryan, Wisconsin has had some injuries at quarterback. They've kind of gotten behind and struggled. What are you expecting from them on Saturday, in addition to effort, because you know you're going to get effort?
Yeah. Again, Luke Fickell's a very good coach. He knows winning football, and his team plays hard. They play sound football. Now, I know the season hasn't gone the way that they've expected it to go, but at the same time, put the film on. They're one of the better defenses in the country, and all it takes is a few big plays and getting the offense in rhythm, and they're going to be in these games. And so we know that, and we know going in any game on the road is a challenge in this league. So we know what we're going to get, and for us, as you know, we want to just continually focus on our process and how we do things. But I think the other thing is there's a lot of ways to look at it, but I'm sure they feel like their backs are against the wall a little bit, fighting for this season, which I can understand. And so when you get that, you're going to get a team that's going to come out with their hair on fire. And so we have to match that intensity and then some.
Time for two more. Cameron T. Robinson.
Ryan, Davison and Jermaine, obviously very confident corners.
Yep.
Jordan was like that. Denzel was like that. Is there something to having a good secondary that attitude just is part of it? Like they have that type of attitude.
Yeah, there's no question. I think not every DB has to be that way, but I think when you think of the DBs you want on your team, I mean, they're gritty, they're competitive, they're edgy, they have a short memory. At times you can't tell them anything. It's the way you want it. And I tell those guys all the time, man, you bring me up every day because you bring juice, and it's our job to work off of each other in this building. And I've said this before, Davison, when he came in, I'm not sure that room was exactly like that. And then you had Jermaine in there, and then Caleb, because to me, Caleb is kind of the man that makes it all happen. And we all see what Caleb does on the field. But a big part of the success that we have is Caleb's presence on the field and communicating and getting everybody on the same page and building confidence around him. And that's probably one of the things that maybe has gone unrecognized a little bit. Maybe not to everybody. I know not to me and our staff and our players, but that's going into the season, we had some guys on the team that were a little inexperienced and hadn't played a lot of football. And so when you take somebody like Caleb and you take a guy like Sonny who have played and can lead and can communicate and can build confidence with the guys around them, those are all the things that you don't see. And to me, that's why Caleb is such a special player and is the best defensive player in the country, especially in the secondary. And his impact is felt not just with his play, but also the impact he has on those around him. And that's what a great player does. They make the others around him better.
And last question, Tim.
Brian, speaking of the running game, how much would the Eels be cured a little bit just to get a home run ball or two from these guys? I mean, I remember back in the day when Urban was pressing for that, and boom, it finally happened. But just speak on that.
Yeah, no, that would be nice. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I know it would.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would be nice to hit a long run. We've been very efficient, but to your point, it's something that would be nice, and we have to keep working on that. And I think when you see the way that we're set up, there are the runs, and then there's like the perimeter, and the way that we're set up, that kind of goes hand in hand. But yeah, there's no rule saying that we can't break one of these runs for a big one.
And how close have you come, do you think? I mean, if you think back to the last few games, Bo seems to have really gotten really close. Have you seen it getting there, I guess?
Yeah. No, I first off, I think we're giving great effort. I think that we're continually trying to figure out how to put our guys in positions to be successful in those moments. We're not designing a ton of plays to just create explosives because, we feel like we can be efficient. But we do have some different things that we can get to as time goes on to try to create those things. But, a lot of our explosive plays typically come from our receivers. But to your point, yeah, I mean, we'd love to get, some of these runs into the secondary and create, explosives. I mean, that's the idea. But efficient, yes. Explosive, not yet. And that's, again, what are we working on? That's certainly something that we're focused on.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Yep.